All right. Who wants to talk about games journalism? We all have a bit of that, don't we? Stream numbers plummeting. I know, it's rough, isn't it? Well, I can't get a break, guys. You know, I'm trying to avoid finding myself embroiled in all this shit, right? Like, super trying to avoid it by the motherfucking way. But it just won't let me. It won't let me. So, I don't know if you guys have had time to play Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's pretty good. Get it on Steam, right? And here's the thing with Sekiro. It is from Software. And as a result, they're the makers of Dark Souls. So the game, you know, it's pretty difficult. It's a pretty difficult game. In fact, you could say that part of the game is indeed its challenge. You could say that, right? You could say that. Now, let's have a look, shall we? I want to watch the trailer, actually, because I followed all of the build-up and all of that, you know. But I haven't. Let's watch the official trailer. I bet this is going to be loud as fuck. All right, let's have a look. Oh, God. Oh, no. Where's the sound? All right. Let's go halfway just to be safe. Oh, shit. Got my camera in the way. I'll do it. It's a must play. He's fighting a giant cow. Sam's dream. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. So, it looks pretty good. Not gonna lie. Looks like the kind of game I will buy eventually. I've got into a bad habit of late of I get bored, I lie in bed, I look at Steam, and I buy games, and I have literally, it must be now, the last 20 games I've bought I haven't played. I just buy them, and they sit there. And I bought some nonsense. I bought stuff that I know I'm probably not gonna like. But I've just been doing it. So I've just been buying it, right? Like, I mean, I don't even know, like, what games have I been buying? I mean, I bought Monster Hunter World when that came out. I literally played that for 3 hours. Haven't gone back to it. Want to. And was enjoying it. Like the Monster Hunter games. Just couldn't play it. Couldn't be bothered. I think I bought Tropico 6. I know it's bad. I'm not going to do it. I bought Return of the Obra Dinn. Critically acclaimed. Haven't played that. I think I have actually got that, what's it called? The fucking seduction game, Super Seducer 2. I haven't played that. I think I bought Risk of Rain 2. I haven't played that. Probably not gonna, you know? There isn't time. I'm not a streamer. I have a job. I wish I did have time. I'd love it if I had time. Maybe I need to become a streamer. I turn on Frostpunk. I get as far as basically saying the kids got to work, and then there's things to do. So, anyway, Sekiro, it's good. It's a good game. But as with all of those games, it's pretty difficult, boys and girls. It's pretty difficult. It's like, And as I said, that's not a bug. That's a feature. And it's been a feature of every one of the Soulsborne games. It's how they're designed. They have... Right, here's the things that typify a game from Software. One is environmental storytelling without this, like, overwhelming amount of lore. You learn about the story by your environment. Occasionally you talk to people and they tell you stuff, but other times you just glean what's gone on because you're looking at something and you're like, oh wait, there's a hole there. That was probably done by that thing earlier. And then you'll move, oh, and there's a dead body. Right, I get it. And I ain't talking about the brutal, heavy-handed, pathetic shit that, like, fucking Fallout games do now, where it's like, wait, are we still reading consoles? I just have to read 500 consoles to find out what happened in this room. Pathetic, right? I mean, that is not good storytelling. But I think for environmental storytelling, I think From games are pretty good. So that's another thing. Second up, you explore, right? They usually have interwoven, overlapping, big worlds that they kind of keep you on rails, but sometimes there's choice and sometimes there's deviation. But generally, the world is built in a way that there is a component where you have to make sure you go to the right direction. You have to go to the other thing. Next up, boss fights. Just old school boss fights. Tons of them. Here's a giant fucking monkey. Here's a fucking dead dude. Here's a fat dude and a thin dude in armor, and they're giant, and one bounces up and down and wrecks you. And here's a fucking priest, and here's a ghost, and here's a werewolf, and here's a giant cow. Thanks, D-Bucks. You know, that's how it works. You have boss fights, right? And the final thing, difficulty. It's meant to be a game through which you improve every time you play. And in fact, there is something in the meta-narrative aspect. I'm sounding like a wanky, pretentious cunt. Sorry. We are talking about Dark Souls, so it kind of comes with the territory now. The most discussed video game for some reason in the world. But there is something in the meta-narrative components and the way you interface with the game that it is telling you the journey you are on. You don't die, you're resurrected. The journey you're on is one of improvement, coming back repeatedly. Like, you come back to the game repeatedly. You know, there's parallels between the fucking dude who dies over and over and over and over again until you beat the game, that bludgeon, and you, the player, coming back over and over and over again until you beat the game with the bludgeon. That's the point. It puts you in a position where you and the avatar, whether you realize it or not, have some form of contextual simpatico. That is what it's about. So, sub's definitely not going up. We're on 7, guys, not 57. We're on 7. So anyway, that to me is part of the art. It's part of the artwork. It is as intended by From Software. And we know they intend it that way. Do you know why? Because it's a formula they've stuck to for every game. And people who say, by the way, you know, they're just pandering to like that, you know, get good crowd or whatever. Not true. They because they made, if you played first one was Demon Souls, if you know, they made significant improvements that actually kind of made the game less laborious, less of a chore, less of a slog to get through by the time Dark Souls comes around. So it's hard. And yeah, as you put it there, Jimalfki. Yeah, hard but fair. Hard but fair. Always hard but fair. And let's not forget as well, one of the other components of these games that I probably should have mentioned earlier, number 5, is you can change your build, and with it, the way you play. Do you want to go through Dark Souls being one of those shield pussies? Your call, dog. Your call. Do you want to be swinging a great sword, slow attacks, lots of damage? You choose. You make the game as hard or as difficult as you want. Do you want to be a spellcaster? Again, your call. All down to you. And to a lesser extent, Sekiro has that. And again, full disclaimer, haven't played it yet. Certainly watched a lot of playthroughs, watched a lot of videos. Do want some alone time with the game as soon as that's permissible and possible. So, with all of that, is that not access? Is that not enough agency as a player? Sure, you've still got to go and beat the bosses, but that is the game. That is what you're buying the game for. That is what it is for. It is a challenge. When you buy that, right, it's like almost like a fucking Weight Watchers subscription. You know, it's like signing up. Well, will you stick to this diet plan? And if you do, you'll lose weight in 7 days, but will you stick to... You don't go, oh, what, I don't get to eat fucking cheese puffs. Well, that's not very accessible, because I like doing that. You're signing up to a challenge. You're signing up to test yourself. To get good. To beat the game. That is part of the experience. If that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, by the way, I get it. Who the fuck? You know, not everyone's about that life. Like, I get it, man. You know, like, if you don't want to play it, don't play it. Like, if that sounds like a chore, if that sounds boring, these games are going to suck for you. These games are totally going to suck. Just don't do them. Go. But for some reason, the games press, who I seem to recall, the average games journalist thinks there is one person, one archetype of person, who is the most entitled person in the world. And can you guess who that person is? What label they would apply? Gamers. They think gamers are entitled. Now, there is an element of truth. There is an element of truth. I don't want to upset anyone from my audience, guys. And again, I'll try and look in the cameras, which I can, with my fucking AOC stare. Right? You are. Okay? You are a little bit. I know, because I've created content for gamers for years. Right? And let me tell you, yep, bunch of entitled fuckboys. A lot of the time are out there. They're real. They exist. Same motherfuckers who come to me, well, why don't you just do this? And why don't you put the podcast on the one fucking audio only platform I want to use? I don't get any money from it. But what about me? Like, fuck you, right? Is the point, right? Like, if there's enough of you, it becomes a consideration. If there's one of you, go fuck yourself. Singular, individual. I get it, right? I get it. Okay? So entitled gamers exist. Yes, absolutely. And just today, there's another thing breaking where I'm just like, grow up. This whole Epic Games Store thing. Ooh, exclusives. Ooh, more money in the hands of developers from where they sell their shit, which means less time spent fleecing you. Could this be good for consumers? But I want it on Steam. So I'll review bomb a game that isn't even the game, that's not being sold the way I want it to be sold. You gotta grow the fuck up. I mean, straight up, dudes. I say it all the time. Like all those incel cunts who every time there's like a fucking woman on camera typing, grill. You are really fucking it up for the 95% of us who aren't fucking morons. Like, you're making it so hard to come out. You know? It's like the rest of the journalists were me. I don't say I'm a journalist anymore. I work in broadcasting, believe. And it's not an anti-consumer stance. It's a pro-adult, handle your fucking shit stance. Listen, Julian Gollop is one of my fucking heroes. That's the original creator of XCOM and so many other games before it. He invented PC gaming turn-based strategy. He did it all, going back to the best game ever, 1984/1985, Chaos. Fucking still play that to this day if you can get your head around that. Right? The guy's a genius. And he's making a game called Phoenix Point. And it looks like it's going to be XCOM on steroids. So needless to say, even at my age, it got a little bit of a chubby. And then it was going to be on Steam and blah, blah. Now it ain't. Now it's going to be an Epic Store exclusive, and they delayed it. And do you know what happened? Julian Gollop did what I wish more developers would do. He came in, he said, this ain't good enough, is it? Let's not release it like this. If we release it like this, it'll look bad, it'll suck. And the gamers will go, no, I want the game now. Yeah, but it's going to suck. It's going to be like, we're like releasing it too soon, you know? Do you want your bread done before it's risen, before it's been proofed? Do you want that? I just want it now, You can't, but it'd be bad now. Want it now. So not only did he say, we're not releasing the game now in an unfinished state, I'm not playing that shit, I need longer, he went out and negotiated a deal so Phoenix Point would have more money coming in, so he didn't have to do another Kickstarter or, you know, fundraise some other way or do pre-orders or, you know, whatever nightmarish AAA shit comes at you these days. Or, hey, 5 different editions of Phoenix Point. You got your gold, platinum, your super duper, your super duper Cooper Trooper. You got, you know, he said, let's not do that. I'll take the money from Epic. You know what? It ain't my fucking money. It ain't your money. Rejoice. It's some Chinese multi-billionaire corporation's money. They are paying to get you a better game. And yes, sad times. For 1 year, you will not be able to buy it on Steam. I know. Nightmare. You will have to now log into one more store client. It's such a galling chore to basically get value for money, a wicked game. I know, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And what drives me crazy is we pretend that we ain't doing this already. Yo, who can call themselves a fucking gamer if when on your startup isn't Steam, isn't Battle.net, isn't Origin? Really? You just have Steam, do you? I don't believe you. And you know what? Maybe I'll draw a line in the sand and say you ain't a real fucking gamer. You ain't a real gamer. Now draw the line at Uplay. No, I'm kidding. Whatever. Fuck it. You get the point, right? That's real. That's real shit. It's already happened, you idiots. So one more shouldn't make any difference. At the Epic Games Store shouldn't be the hill that we all charge over. Right, this is one store too many. Yeah, but it's actually going to make a positive difference because they've got the money to pay the developers to get exclusives. That's going to offset the balance that the developers would use. No, this is the one. Plant the gamer flag. It's green and it's purple. And not your shield. Tell the incels. I'm not saying Epic aren't scumfucks. I don't know. Maybe they are. Probably they are. I'll wager they are. I'll put money on it that they are. But exclusives that offset the cost of predatory money-making practices from AAA development studios is good. I'd rather Epic was footing the bill than me. I'd rather Phoenix Point came out as a brilliantly realized game from one of the original masters of his craft without microtransactions in it, thank you very much, because Epic Games paid for that shit. I'd much rather that. And I feel like I'm crazy sometimes because I see a lot of gamers talking about it, you know? And the idea I'm shilling for Epic when, by the way, even when my company hosted a fucking Fortnite tournament, I had the fucking stones to come out and risk getting pulled off the broadcast going, live on air. Yeah, they're taking the piss a little bit and trolling everyone, aren't they? How they always release new items just while there's a tournament on. It's a bit mental. It's like they don't want an esports scene at all. Said it on air, on camera. So the idea I'm an Epic Games shill is mental. That was literally balls to the wall, expected a phone call. But anyway, I get it. You couldn't... Multiple stores bad. Orange Man bad. There's only one viewpoint. Okay, cool. Anyway, back to Sekiro, right? Pretty good game. I like it. Right? Haven't played it. Still like it. Like the idea of it. Like the idea of being a samurai and it's hard and you die and you come back. I watched that monkey boss fight where he's throwing shit at you and stuff. It looks baller. Can't wait to give that a go. And no, you'll never see a playthrough because then I'd have to put my requisite skills where my mouth are. And as a gimped up old man, I'm not willing to do that. Not for Sekiro. There are games I'll do it for. Slow, turn-based games. Yeah, love those. Play them on stream all day. Action-packed, can't mash a button. It's all about timing. Nah. Never going to play them on stream. Because you'd rightly laugh at me. Because I'm not good. And I'm probably too old to get good. But then again, I'll give it a go. Anyway, point being said, let's talk about the games journalist reaction to art. Okay? I think Forbes started the ball rolling. Because here's the thing I don't understand. Why games journalists have never realized this. Why is it if I'm a gamer, okay, and I decide that game could be better. Oh my lord, Forbes for women. Maybe later. Why is it if I'm a gamer and I decide that there's a game and it could be better, and I maybe tweet at the developer and I say, oh, you should put this feature in. Why, what, you know, and then a bunch of people come in and, you know, why is the protagonist not more like me? Okay, let's use that. And then that applies to everybody, so can't be accused of prejudice. And then the games journalist sees on it and go, my sweet summer child, how entitled are you? Are you telling an artist that they have to change their art to suit your cis, white, heteronormative view of the world? Kill yourself. You're a cancer. It's like, all right, okay. I get it, games journalists. You have utter contempt for your audience. I think that's become abundantly clear these last 5 years. But then, if a games journalist says, right, let me get a prop. I get a prop comment. It's my my Xbox pad. Okay. Definitely not a knockoff Xbox pad that came from China for a fraction of the cost of the official licensed Xbox thing. I would never do that. Don't recommend you do that. God bless China. So we do this. Oh God, no. It's like the. What, I gotta resurrect? Wait, this is just the first boss. I'm like an hour in. Okay, it's alright. I'll try hitting him in the back this time. Wait, he has a special attack if you hit him in the back? He's adapting! It's evolving! Fuck, I'm dead again. It's the first boss. Alright, well, what if I try... Oh, I'll pepper him down with throwing stars from a distance, and he'll have less HP, and then I can just finish him off with the back attack. Okay. Wait, he's got a gap closer? I can't parry it! I think I need to write an article about how this game needs an easy mode now. So, now, when games journalists do that, right, how is that not entitled? How is that not entitled? I am demanding the game changes to suit me and what I want, right? You see what I'm saying? You can't see the parallels. So, I think it started with Forbes. They came out and they did this article, Sekiro Shadow Dies Twice needs to respect its players and add an easy mode. Dave Tier. There's some gems in here. One of the things that I've realized when I do these streams, and this is for the benefit of my content creation team, should tell you as well, I hired a bunch of extra dudes to help me out with that. Even like someone who's going to help me write scripts for my videos, which sounds like a ghostwriter. Not a ghostwriter. Someone who's just going to help me, because when I write a script, I write 6,000 words and I edit it down to 1,500. He's going to help me not write the 6,000 words so I can create more content. But I hired a bunch of people. Anyway, we can talk about that when it's relevant. But there's just some ridiculous shit in here. So, and this is what I don't understand, this part. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is the latest offering from Software. It should be from Software. A developer known for, among other things, punishingly difficult games that set a new standard for how much abuse the modern player was able to take. Should point out, realized I'm a little bit out of sequence here. Before we even finish that paragraph, who here, hands, show of hands in the chat, who here played games on the Nintendo, like the original Nintendo and the Super Nintendo? I know some of you probably didn't, most of you probably didn't. I did. Anyone? Hands in the chat, there we go. Hands in the chat. Right, so, hands in the chat. Do you remember back in the day, there were games you just never finished? Like, you just never finished them. They were impossible to finish. You couldn't finish them. Like one I never finished, Ninja Gaiden. Ever play Ninja Gaiden? I don't think I even knew someone who finished Ninja Gaiden. I think it was physically set up to be impossible. I think the only way you could do it was with a fucking Game Genie, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Battletoads. I remember these games. Bucky O'Hare. I think I might have finished that one, but fuck me, I wished I was dead by the end. Ghosts. Was it Ghosts and Goblins? Ghouls and Ghosts and Ghosts and Goblins. I can't remember. Whatever. You just didn't finish games when I was a kid. You just didn't. The whole point was these games were so expensive and were a luxury item. They were like, well, we got to give people value for money. And they equated that to challenge. So even on easy mode, these games would fuck you in the face while holding on to your ears. Right? You'd be like, what the fuck? Heat-seeking missiles, when your bullets go super slow. Like, the cheapest bullshit ever. Do you know what? We got pissed off. There was many, I think I had teeth marks on my controller as a kid, right? Never bit too hard, because if I did, I'd break it, and then I'd never get another one, but hard enough, so the controller knew, you better start giving me some anti-bullshit vaccinations right here. Yeah? But we always, every time, I've had enough of that. You go, you play some Zelda, you play some Mario. You always come back to it, don't you? You know why? Because you want to fucking finish it. And you know why you want to finish it? Because you understand it's a challenge. So we've come from a time where I grew up where it was like games actually used to just gate off content. And if you couldn't beat level 8, you don't see level 9. And that was a perfectly reasonable way that games functioned. To now, where if I cannot complete the game mashing one button all the way through because I want to see what the story is, I'm being cheated. It's nonsense. Anyway. Right. And that's how you know I'm a real gamer, that I say shit like that. Not fake. I'm the real gamer. I'm the gamer with the smash keyboards. I'm the gamer with the teeth marks on my fucking NES. You know, I'm the gamer with the fucking dented fucking cartridge. You gotta, oh God, hope it doesn't get stuck in there. Right. So anyway, known for, among other things, punishingly difficult games has set a new standard for how much abuse the modern player was able to take. You are nothing to Ninja Gaiden. Dark Souls on the hardest difficulty while wearing a blindfold is nothing compared to Ninja Gaiden. Again, look it up. This game is notorious. Never completed it. I could go back now, still couldn't complete it. I'd be worse off now. The game is brutal. It debuted this new style with Demon Souls and cemented it with Dark Souls before swaggering across the gaming industry with Bloodborne, my drug of choice, and one of the most engaging gaming experiences I've ever had. These games have achieved a kind of cult status in certain corners of the gaming community, where people use them as a kind of litmus test for whether someone is a true gamer or a filthy casual. No, my journalistic friend Dave, sound like the HAL robot from 2001. Dave, I cannot let you write this, Dave. That isn't what happened. Here's what happened. You're putting the cart before the horse, my friend. The games were notoriously punishingly difficult, but you know what gamers did? Just play them. Like, oh, hey, you play Dark Souls? Yeah, it's tough, innit? Yeah, I know, man. Oh, how did you do on the Fat Lad? Yeah, you know, it took me like 40 attempts. It took me fucking 50 easily. Like, oh, yeah. You know, that was what we were doing. But then, for some reason, games journalists wanted to just have a go-to analogy for why hard games are bad, and they just chose Dark Souls, and it just perforate. I have never met a game like. Picture this conversation, guys. Oh, hey, do you play video games? Yeah, I do actually play a lot of games. Really? Do you really play games though? I don't know. I kind of feel that maybe you don't. Oh no, I definitely do. I mean, I play all sorts of games. You ever finish Dark Souls? You fucking filthy casual. Like that is it just doesn't come up, does it? Like that conversation just doesn't happen. It didn't happen. It doesn't happen. No one has ever said that to any other gamer. No gamer on a forum has been, well, I see you're making a point here about Breath of the Wild, and while I think it's valid, I just have to ask you one question. Have you completed Dark Souls on maximum difficulty? Because if you haven't, you're not allowed to talk. No one is doing that in the gaming community, by the way. Nobody. That is an invention of journalists because they like this them and us thing. And what better way to polarize it? What better way than via the medium itself? So two things occurred. First of all, disconnect between journalists and their audience and readership. And then second of all, the fact that they're lazy, notoriously, and they needed a go-to hard game example. I will Google 10 hardest games. Dark Souls at number 1. That must be the hardest game. You ever played any of the games in the list? I'm a games journalist. I haven't got time for games. I cannot play games, you silly fool. You know what I mean? So they just repeated it, and they just regurgitated it every time. Dark Souls, to the point where the fucking Dark Souls is a hard game is such an overplayed meme in and of itself. I don't even think, actually, if I was to talk to a hardcore basement-dwelling, cheese-smelling gamer, I bet they wouldn't tell me Dark Souls is the hardest game. I bet they wouldn't tell me. I bet they'd pull some other wacky weeb Japanese import shit or something. You know what I mean? There's just no way. I don't think it is. Do you know do you know why I don't think it is? Because so many people I talked to have completed it, and they went, "Hey, it's a challenge. It's a little bit difficult, but once you get the Estus flask, and and I found just by holding my shield up and being a complete pussy, I can actually just play the game on some kind of fucked up easy mode all by itself without the name." You know, it's nonsense. Nobody, I think, if you were to do a cross-section of the world's most difficult games, no hardcore gamer would say Dark Souls is the hardest game ever. No one. No, it wouldn't. It might rank top 10. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yes, I actually completed Ninja Gaiden twice this morning. Like, fuck me, you're an animal. Like, you know what I mean? Get this guy in the fucking Guinness book. This guy's out of control. So anyway, back to this. Right? They always include, by the way, even though what they're saying is completely contrary to the opinion they're presenting, they always go, Bloodborne, yes, my drug of choice. Yeah, I'm sure you got lots of hours in it, buddy. I'm sure it really is your drug of choice. I'm sure you played it so much that you got the point of games like that. I'm sure it is your drug of choice. I'm sure, actually, that when people offer you a glass of wine, and a cheeky spliff with the, I'm 40, should I be doing this? Oh, God, I'm partying now with my journalist friends. I'm sure you would actually go, hey, guys, no, I'd much rather be playing Bloodborne right now. No joke. Anyway, these games have achieved kind of cult status in certain corners of the gaming community where people use them as kind of litmus test for whether or not someone is a true gamer or a filthy casual. The fact that these games don't have any difficult settings mean that only a certain sort of player with time, inclination, reaction speed, and lack of physical issues. Oh, okay, we're already working in that these games are anti-disabled. Gibberish. By the way, didn't Microsoft just get a resounding response for releasing a commercial that's going to enable physically challenged people to play more games? And I don't recall a single gamer anywhere in the world saying this is a bad thing. And if that technology exists, great. We fixed it. The hardware creates the accessibility. The game should not. Just a thought. Anyway. Inclination, reaction speed, and lack of physical issues will ever see the final boss fight anywhere but on Twitch. This is your problem. Why is it a problem? Why is it a problem? Why is it a problem? It's not a problem. It's no more a problem than some books. You know, listen, we're all on different intellectual levels, right? I mean, well, not all of us, but, there's a spectrum, right? Like, some people aren't good with books. Some people struggle to read. Now, it would be great if they could get to a level, but, fuck, man. James Joyce ain't for that guy, James Joyce, Finnegan's Wake isn't for that guy, And you don't say, well, let's rewrite Finnegan's fucking Wake, put it in an easy mode without a... You just don't read the book, do you? You just walk on by, You don't say, let's change the art so everybody gets it. That would defeat the purpose. It would be like if you went, okay, let's say you're a fucking, again, I'm making a lot of pretentious examples. I can't help it. I pose as down to earth. There is a pretentious element within me, right? Sorry, okay? But let's say you're watching, I don't know, a Lars von Trier movie, not one of his later ones or his, Western ones, one of his old school Danish ones from the Dogma School, and you went to watch it and it's there, right? And there was a guy sat in the front, and every time a scene ended, the movie paused, and the guy went, well, what's happening in this scene, you see, this is called foreshadowing. It's going to come in later, and actually, the mise en scène is... You would just be like, I don't even want to fucking be here. This is stupid. It's like, watch it. Right? Why are people still arguing about films that pretty much the directors come out and said, no, it means this? Because there's a transformative element in your brain when you watch something. You might see something that nobody else sees, and that's great. You don't make it more accessible. You leave the art. It's there. You can enjoy it, and maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't, and maybe you'll enjoy it without getting it, and maybe you'll get it without enjoying it. But that's the wonderful thing about any artistic creation, which, and I know my friend Lo Ping, the furry, I follow on Twitter. I think I follow 3 furries. He's one of them. He likes to debate everyone by saying games aren't art. I mean, I think that's objectively false. I think games are art. Okay, so with all of that said, didn't mention you, Kai, did I? You thought it was coming. I was going to let you off. You do it to yourself, son. My problem with these is that I don't think I'd write any of these articles if I didn't like them so much. There are other difficult games I won't play, and whatever, but the difficulty is only part of what defines these games for me, and honestly, it's not the most important part. Glad we agree. From Software has some of the best world building in the business, and, I would argue, the best character design. Early on in Sekiro, I had to sneak under a bridge where I found this bizarre, misshapen hermit man, but enough about Dust Moret. Just kidding. Needless burn there. Love you, Dust. I know you're watching. That lunged at me with a wicked knife from underneath a broad straw hat. It was gross and strange, the sort of thing you can almost smell. The first glimpse I had of any of the malformed underbelly of this world I'd only taken my first steps into. That's what I remember from Bloodborne more than anything. Something about the lonely, horrible way these characters move is so endlessly fascinating that I could watch them all day, and every time I see one, I just need to see the rest. Lots of developers have attempted to imitate. That's key, by the way. I need to see one, so do I get to see the rest? No, it's a game. You kill it, or you don't. That's how it works. This is not show and tell, motherfucker. It's a video game. Lots of developers have attempted to imitate From's style of aggressively sparse, I think that's meant to be, storytelling that relies on opaque item descriptions and occasionally short dialogue to build out worlds that seem so much larger than our own character's comprehension, but only Hollow Knight ever came close to what makes these games special. Anyway, it goes on and ends with, this is what I'll never understand about From's fanboys and their continual aggressive insistence that the mere presence of an easy mode would somehow compromise the special experience. It's worth saying time and time again, an easy mode does not have to change the core experience in any way at all, period. This is true, right? Putting an easy mode in the game doesn't change the game for people who don't want to use it. But if I, as the creator, say I want all of my players to experience the same level of challenge, which is tacitly being said by the virtue of the fact there is no difficulty level, that is part of the experience. Who are you to say that they should change it? Who are you? I get it. You want to see more monsters? Fuck you. Beat the first one. Beat the second one. Beat the third one. Then you see the fourth one. Same as all of us. We're all in the same boat, motherfucker. Don't hide behind disabled people trying to make out it's just you wanting to have a story from start to finish. That's entitled. Playing a version of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice at an easy mode would, theoretically, be completely identical to playing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now you're just lying to yourself, Dave. Now you're just lying to yourself, because it wouldn't be, would it? Because the point of the game is the challenge. You even admitted that earlier in a paragraph. So it wouldn't be the same. It would be the opposite of the same. It would be what we call, in the industry, different. Be very different. Like how, man? How do you even type that out? The continued insistence that an easy mode would somehow affect the normal mode seemed to represent a player's lack of respect for themselves, an idea that they would not be able to play the game that they want without ruining for themselves. And so I'd say to From fans, believe in yourself. Know that you can play the game you want to play, even if others are playing the game they want to play, which, by the way, you just build appropriately and use items, and Sekiro's no different, because I've already seen guides that exist out there. An easy mode does not have to be complicated. Ideally, I like to see the sort of deeper customization that Celeste has, but all you need to do is turn up the damage the player does and turn down the damage the enemies do. So now he's proposing a balanced strategy, which is terrible. Terrible. Do you honestly think that designing a boss battle is just making it easier or harder is just as simple as, well, he does less damage with each attack and more damage if you pick the hard mode? Games in the 80s did certainly do that, or sometimes it would be the other way around. Their life bars would go up. That's a terrible way to design games, and that's why people don't do it. That's it. I do not at this point expect to ever see my wish granted, but it is my wish just the same. Dave, I would save that wish and wish for something else. But anyway, look, at least he's being honest. At least he's saying it's about him, right? He didn't make the connection that it's entitled. He was a little bit disingenuous. But you know what? I don't have a massive problem with Dave. I think it's a little bit cringeworthy. I think it's a little bit pathetic. And I think that if you can't see the inherent contradiction between saying games are entitled and then writing in an article that's one of the most entitled things I've ever heard, may as well be dear from software, tailor your game to me, then I don't know what to tell you. But you're entitled to this kind of opinion. And certainly this type of opinion piece has a place in games. But here's the problem. Games journalists always have a fucking agenda. So if one person goes to bat for this, they all jump on. They're all in their Slack groups. Let me tell you a little story. I'll theory craft a little. Dave, right, let's call him, was written an article saying Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, need to respect its players and add an easy mode. And he writes it, and he knows he's getting shit before he publishes. He goes to hit publish. Oh, God, it's going to be so bad. The gamers, the goober grapers are going to say bad things in my mentions. But he has to hit approve, and publish, because that's what he's been told to write, and that's what the publication pays him for. So he's got to do it. So, boom, out it goes. And, of course, there's a little bit of him that wants the attention. Ooh, please harass me. Please make me a victim. And in my culture, victims are the winners, right? So, anyway, so he does that, and out it goes. And lo and behold, there are some fucking incels out there. There are some absolute losers that make all gamers bad. And instead of just looking at this risible critique and laughing it off as basically the lonely, desperate cry of a guy into the void, what they do instead is they go, fuck you, get good, noob. As if there aren't idiots expressing nonsense on the internet every second the internet continues to exist. So he could just leave it there, but no, he can't, because now he's a victim. So he reaches out, he talks to his other journalists. Would you believe the comments I'm getting? Look at this comment. Get good noob. I believe get good is an alt-right dog whistle. What say you, games journalists? And of course, since it's games journalists, it's just one big support network now. They just all sit around and they go, oh God, that's terrible. How dare people say that get good, and look at the way that they've changed the language so it's containing this broken down sentence structure, mocking our very trait. This cannot stand. So what do? They all go, all hands to the pumps. Ding dong, ding dong. You ring the bell. Ding dong. A games journalist is being mocked somewhere. A games journalist is being mocked. Are there not any other good Christian games journalists that will come out and defend thy honor? Ding ding. Calling all journalists. It's like it's the fucking Avengers with these motherfuckers. Like every time there's a crisis affecting one of them, they all have to like level up and fucking come out and fight for each other. And it's pathetic. It's just a Twitter comment. Just get over it. So they all come out and they all do it, right? And here it is. The wall of shit. Right? And I want to point out, by the way, if you're going to criticize Sekiro and From Software and the way they're doing things, perhaps, it's worth considering that the average consumer evidently likes it, because in a headline that's grayed out because this fucking XSplit, for some reason, makes some white websites black and some black websites white, and some of them see through and some don't open at all. It does say Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is Steam's biggest launch of 2019 so far. Now we're only in April. I'm sure it'll get beat. But that suggests to me they're doing something right, doesn't it? I mean, if lots of people are buying something, doesn't that mean that lots of people like something? And if we were using a metric for success, wouldn't it be sales in this instance? Like, perhaps we don't need to change anything. The majority of gamers like it. We are wrong. No journalist is ever going to have that fucking moment of fucking self-realization and think, you know what, we're out of touch with the consumers, so, maybe we're still entitled to give our opinion, sure, but this blanket, canvas assault on, what consumers prefer and what artists want to create, maybe we should just back off from that and stick to reviewing games based on our own very personal and subjective preferences, which is what all reviews are anyway. Can't do it, though, can you? No. Help them! Somebody got Dave with a Git Good comment. Help him! The Git Good comment has wounded him. Like, all right. So let's have a look. Let's right. Kotaku. Bless him. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Has it done the thing? Okay. It's all right, guys. We're getting there. I think actually it's probably because fucking it's rejecting my Kotaku. Right, here we go. My XSplit has learned. Not Kotaku, no! Right, here is the declaration. An easy mode has never ruined a game. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, no thanks. Not to my inbox, please, Kotaku. No. I like to keep you over there. Just over there. Where I can see you from time to time. And we'll drop in. And in that one article in every 20, that's good. I'll go, good work, Kotaku. And for the other 19, I'll just try and pretend you don't exist. Is that all right? Thanks. Thanks, Kotaku. Big fan. So, an easy mode has never ruined a game. I mean, it's kind of true, right? Like, is it kind of true? Oh, you know what, Warhead? You are a genius, by the way. And it wasn't immediately apparent to me because I didn't play World of Warcraft. That got out before that started happening. But you're right. Do you remember when they made World of Warcraft an accessible experience? And they put it on rails? Yeah, in every expansion, it became more of a like, hey, let's get you to the questing and the dungeons as soon as possible. You remember that? Didn't it make it suck balls? That was when World of Warcraft died. I mean, shit, some people gave it to Cataclysm. Some people didn't even give it that. Anyway. Your on-rails, homogenized World of Warcraft experience, I'm sure leveling up was easy. I'm sure it was way more streamlined. Definitely ruined the game in the eyes of every player, especially the ones that spent the time to actually grind and get the good gear and do all that shit before it. So, right. Yes, I know WoW started dying in Lich King. I remember. I was there. I just wasn't playing your stupid, addictive, which isn't real game. I don't know what to say about it. I just hated World of Warcraft as an experience. Maybe it was because it was a solo experience, but whatever. Anyway, an easy mode has never ruined a game. Already based on World of Warcraft, which wasn't officially an easy mode, I get it, but it was streamlining and easyification, if that is indeed a word, which it isn't. There's already examples. But all right, okay, let's not... It's rhetoric. You're getting bogged down in semantics. It's like you're talking to Mr. Piker again. Stop. So, right. Look at this for an opening paragraph. Oh, Lord, help me. I'm going to read it. He's going to say it. In video games, easy is a dirty word, even when it shouldn't be. There's something about the word easy that rubs some players as condescending, something we should maybe leave behind, except where we shouldn't. Right, this is a fucking mess of an opening, Joshua. This is a mess. It's all over the place. Easy is a dirty word. Never heard that. Never heard that. There's something about the word easy that rubs some players as condescending. Something we should maybe leave behind. I've never heard that proposed, ever again. When I have my clandestine secret gamer meetings where I throw on a fucking cloak and come in and go, hey, what up, fellow gamer bros? What's happening today? Well, Richard, we've got to abolish the word easy. It's out of control. Yes, I will make it though. Sacrifice the child. You know, like that. No one, it never come up. Never, not once. Not once. What this is about is art. And do you have the right to create the vision you want? Which, you know, as I believe they might have discussed on Trainwreck's stream, you know, Jordan Peele, right? We found a lot of people got real hypocritical real fast over the whole hire who you want to tell the stories you want position, didn't we? Ooh. Separate story. We'll stay on Sekiro for a minute. And what does that mean? Except where we shouldn't. Well, where shouldn't we? Who's making these rules? Joshua, who's talking to you? Like in From Software games, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, a game that finds itself plagued by a debate you created and have driven to get clicks. A game that finds itself plagued by a debate that is by now familiar. Should it have an easy mode? Should it have an easy mode? And again, this is a very simple question to answer. Does the creator want it to have an easy mode? The answer is clearly no. We all go home. This is the game. Sorry. Anyway, where was the bit about where they do the same thing? And here we go. Yes. Right. Part of the trouble with the argument for difficulty, the one that I make, the one that I think majority of people outside of games journalist circles make, with the exception of Eric Kane, which I'll show at the end, God bless him. Part of the trouble is that difficulty can mean so many different things. Well, do go on, Joshua, do tell me. There are a myriad of ways video games can turn the dials on various systems to change your assessment of how hard they seem, and many developers have done as much without compromising the quality or integrity of their games. Do tell me about them. Consider Halo in the Bungie era. One of the understandings between the developers and the player was that heroic difficulty was Halo as the studio intended it to be played, with entirely different enemy behaviors and placement. Easy and normal were there to welcome anyone who needed it, and even if it required less from you, you might have still found yourself engaged by the game's story. Okay. Your point. We're talking about a game, by the way, that has a single-player campaign and a multiplayer aspect to it. You will probably find a divide actually more profound in Halo, which isn't what difficulty level did you play in Halo, but more like, you know, how good were you when it came to playing against other humans? Not what did you do in the campaign mode. What did you complete it on hard or heroic? Like no one, again, never heard that ever. Sure, it was how it was intended, but ultimately, in games that have a multiplayer component, the single player campaign is kind of, well, more so now than it was back then, admittedly, but it's kind of a tutorial. No matter what difficulty you play it on. It wants to get you oriented with the systems, with the control, tell you a story, make you think you add value for money, and then it goes, and this is the real game, and now you're shooting random dickheads on the internet, and they're going to call you names, and it's completely different. Unlearn everything you learned, even on heroic difficulty. We just taught you the basics. Now you must beat humans. So that's how a lot of single-player games work. So again, I don't know if picking that one was a particularly solid example, but again, sure, it had a difficulty level in it. I mean, cool. Devil May Cry 5 clearly wants you to play stylishly, and the combination of the recommended Devil Hunter difficulty and the way the game scores every combat encounter reminds you of that. But bumping down the difficulty and cheesing demons with clumsy combos doesn't ruin the game either. Adding an easy mode has never ruined a game. Put it this way. I'm playing Devil May Cry 5. I haven't played a Devil May Cry game since 2, back on like PS2. Me and my boy Big Steve. Was Mundus the bad game? I don't even know. Who fucking remembers? That was a long time ago. A lot of drugs since then. Point being, I haven't played a Devil May Cry game in a while. Not my particular cup of tea. But was it Mundus? Was it Mundus? Did I get it right? Oh, okay, good. I got it right. Mundus! Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck Mundus. Mundus. Oh, come on. I can't remember. But I was close, though. So I'm impressed by that. Think about how many years ago DMC2 was. Yeah, Mundus, Chungus, whatever. It's all the same. Anyway, I'll tell you this. If I start playing Devil May Cry 5, and because, you know, I'm doing all this, I'm killing demons, and the boss comes out, and I get the cutscene and the story, you haven't gone too far now, and they exchange all the shit. And I can beat that boss by just cheesing him in a corner, like, you know, and just doing leg sweeps or something. That has ruined the game. For me. And you say, well, why didn't you play it on the max difficulty? Yeah, but what if I was having trouble with another bit? They also never tell you about how sometimes balance isn't consistent. Like, I've got a confession. I played The Witcher 3 all the way through on hard, I think it was. Witcher 3, another great game with a difficulty level. But in the Blood and Wine DLC, where you have that mad vampire fight right at the end, loads of spoilers, all the spoilers. I had to turn the difficulty down. I just had to. I couldn't beat him. I'm not ashamed. I don't think it ruined the game for me, right? But here's the thing: had the option not been there, right? Had the option not been there, I wouldn't be sat here crying about. I want to see how Geralt's story ends. I'd have just kept playing and just brute forced that motherfucker. Because that's the way it is, right? I mean, that's how it's meant to be. Right? But I did. I had to drop it down. I know, that's it. I lost my gamer card. I had to. It was doing my head in. You know, I gave it a good 20, 30 attempts, and I went into that menu, and I went, you fucking little sexy bitch. Yeah. And there it is. We fucking got it going. We got the normal mode on, and yeah, Richard did it, and thank God it was there. Yeah. Done. So, had that not been there, still would have kept playing the game. Even if to this day I wouldn't have beaten, I would have been going back periodically, give it another go, give it another go, give it another go, because the game was worth it. And also, by the way, on normal mode, it was still a massive challenge. I just feel that one boss just ramped up the difficulty to such a ridiculous level compared to all the others that it was probably a balance mistake by Project Red, you know? So, but whatever, you know, I could course correct it. It's fine. Straight back to hard for what little left of the content there was. The point is, I didn't, you know, I didn't feel compelled to complain about that on any level. I didn't think I was being cheated. I felt that I was probably actually had played the game on like some sort of easy mode in my mind, and I hadn't learned requisite skills that I needed to beat that boss, and I probably shouldn't have been hacking and slashing my way through griffins with my Witcher armor and, you know, just tanking all the hits. I probably should have been learning a bit more about the finesse elements of the combat, but I didn't, and I cheated myself, and that was my comeuppance, you know. Anyway, I would feel, okay, that if I'd got to that fight, and even when I lowered the difficulty, if I could have put him in a corner and just kicked him, take that vampire final boss, and then I went to the epic end scene where all the bits come together, and you see Geralt retire, and you get a bit misty-eyed, because there is no emptiness like the emptiness you feel after you've completed all the content for The Witcher 3, and you go back into this empty world, and the people don't talk to you anymore, and there's no quests to do, and you've maxed out everything, you've literally done everything the game has to offer. There is no existential gaming crisis like that, by the way. Yeah. There is no existential crisis like that. And anybody who completes the game knows what I'm talking about. Maxing out The Witcher 3 is like, you get to a point where you fucking feel like, I don't want to max it out. I know this is just a dumb fetch quest I ignored, but if I do this, the last NPC in this amazing world that I played for 400 hours, maybe more, that's it. It's the end. There'll never be another guy talk to me in this incredible real. That's the shit, right? And I'd have felt fucking cheated if I'd just cheesed my way through a final boss fight, even with a lower difficulty. Yeah, see? People know what I'm talking about. Right, anyway. Some of the people arguing for an easy mode in Sekiro aren't just doing it because they refuse to unlearn or adjust their normal play habits. As frequent Kotaku contributor GB Doc Buford has written, players who suffer from chronic pain or significant physical disability can find the skill threshold in From games wholly insurmountable. With my chronic pain and fatigue issues, rapidly mashing buttons in games like Bayonetta or God of War can be physically draining, and the die and repeat rhythm that From Software bosses like Bloodborne's Father Gascoigne demand causes tremendous pain to accrue in his hand. Now, I sympathize that GB Doc Buford gets intense pain from button mashing. Right? I really do. That sucks. There's no punchline coming. It blows. Any physical difficulty like that blows. It's ass. Right? But I'll say this. This isn't the same as an accessibility ramp into a cinema or a fucking supermarket. You know? It is basically providing you a fucking gateway into a totally different experience. And I understand that it's physically draining for you, but maybe we can find hardware that has, softer button inputs. Maybe we can find ways that actually don't hurt your physiological makeup quite so much. But the game experience, do you want the game experience or do you want a different experience that everyone else has? Because I think the latter option actually does a disservice to any gamer that wants to play a game and have that experience. Like, if I want to play Dark Souls, I don't want, I could probably just go on and get a mod or a cheat, right? I get the story, I'm playing the game, but I don't get the same experience. And that's what's key here. That's what you should want when you buy the ticket and take this particular ride. It's also got to be said, and I would never make this argument, but some do, maybe not everything's for you, even in the case of somebody like GB Doc Buford. Burford, sorry. This isn't my view. I don't agree with this. I think you should try and make things as accessible for everybody without deviating too much or ideally at all from the artist's intrinsic, creative vision. But if he plays with a special pad, I got no problem with that. Whatever works for you, brother. For real. So what makes me upset is the transparency of all of this. And here's why they're doing it. I'm going to tell you, right? Spoilers. The agenda. They don't want to make it accessible for disabled people. They're games journalists, man. All they really give a fuck about is parroting the right talking points so they get to sit in their little cocktail circles and live this incredibly privileged life that they lead, while talking about how not privileged they had it when most of them are college graduates and have gone straight into a media gig with little to no qualifications and or experience and get to write about video games for a living. And to hear them talk, you think every time they wrote an article they had to go down, turn on the light, get the canary. It's back down into the pit. You got some of the easiest jobs out there, right? But what they do care about is always sticking it to the gamers and proving that they have influence and relevancy still. Let's talk about that second point first. They know they're a dying medium. They know their audience hates them and loathes them. They know they've been called out on their bullshit since 2014 to a point where we still have to pretend Gamergate was an orchestrated hate campaign against women when actually an FBI investigation found no evidence of that sort of thing. There's no hierarchical structure, no generals, no foot soldiers. It just wasn't like that. However, the antidote, supposedly, to Gamergate, things at the Crash Override Network, they did have a hierarchical structure, and they did dox and harass people, and it was done as part of a prescribed hate campaign against a group of people, and this is all provable. It's there in the evidence, but we have to pretend, to protect our fragile games journalists' egos, we have to pretend that a group of people saying, Can you all just stop fucking each other, or at least disclose you're fucking each other? Can you all stop giving each other money and fucking shaking hands behind closed doors and doing fake reviews in exchange for cash? Can you just stop doing that? We have to pretend to this day that that was an orchestrated movement against black people, against women. We have to pretend to protect the games journalist. So, they love the relevancy. They love the relevancy. The relevancy is all they're clinging to, because they'll be out of this job. I mean, shit, man. They're writing political articles anyway, right? I mean, they're not writing fucking, they're not writing games reviews. Most of them want to do, like, critique, and it goes like this, and I'll show you a brilliant example when we stop talking about Sekiro. But they go, this game is like this, it's like this because of Trump's America. Or, this game has this storyline. But that storyline exists because of rampant misogyny. And you're like, 5% max, maybe 10, I'll give you, of your entire output should be wanky, pretentious critique of this nature. It's got a place. I'm all for that, obviously. It's like 90%. Tell me, how does it run on an NVIDIA graphics card, please? Tell me. What's the late game like? Tell me how much money I'm going to have to spend on microtransactions. Tell me, is it worth buying an early access? Just tell me shit I need to know before I write these motherfuckers a check. Because they're trying to rob me blind, and you're the motherfucker in the middle that's meant to tell me that they're trying to rob me blind and tell me whether or not they should get my cash. That's your job, you silly cunts. You're not supposed to tell me about the postmodernist feminist fucking theory about Sekiro Shadows Die Twice when I am reading your magazine to find out, is the game good and does it run on my fucking computer? And that's the reality that we're locked in. They don't want to do that. So they'll just go and do something else. But while they're here, they want to prove how fucking relevant they are. They want to prove how relevant they are. So they pressured developers. What do you think this is, this contract? There's other articles. I'll bring up another one while I'm making this point. Kotaku Australia, they did a follow-up. They did a follow-up on their own mother publication piece. Hey, let me tell you, guys, this is how an easy mode... No one's having an easy mode, you silly cunt. This was a waste of time. You just wasted your time. But they want to pressure the developer to do it just to show they can. And then when they do, they all... Well done, excellent work there, chap. Did you see how the developer caved? Did you see how they caved completely to our whims? Whims completely contrary to the consumers? We are relevant and powerful. Yes, we are not going anywhere. All this talk of digital media dying, we are fine because we are powerful. So that's why they're doing it. And then the first point, second, there is no better way to stick it to an audience that you absolutely have nothing but contempt for than by basically saying, oh, what's the standard you hold? We will pressure people to change that standard. So sometimes this is holistically good, you know? I've said this many times. People who complain about diversity and representation in games are idiots because it does matter. It does matter. The end. Of course it matters. Of course it matters. Right? Like, go look at the history of black cinema in America, as I've done recently. There's a great documentary you can check out on Amazon called, Horror Noir. And if you go look it up, it's the history of black people in the horror movement and how the horror genre was actually a great liberation for black actors, black directors, because it gave them the freedom to address topics and to have subtext. It's great. It's a good documentary. Go watch it. And a lot of them all said the same thing. You know, after I saw Night of the Living Dead, a black protagonist. You know, like. And he was right, and people listened to him, and he was the hero. It made me want to make more films. So it does matter. The end. Of course it matters. Seeing yourself in other people inspires you to do things. But, right, when it becomes this ridiculous, We like games that challenge us. No, your game must be changed, and there must be modes, and we want the experience you have, but in a watered down form, so we can talk about it. Well, no, bollocks, fuck you. The artist doesn't want that. That's not how the game is intended. So go fuck yourself. But they would love to stick it to gamers. They'd love it. They'd love it if Sekiro suddenly introduced an easy mode because of pressure. And they would go, oh, it's so good to see. Applause from software. You hate gamers too. You must hate gamers too. Now there'd be some insane incel reaction where people are, I'm not playing the game anymore. It's got an easy mode in it. From software cave to the SJWs. You know, you'd get that stupid stuff too. Of course you would. But, you know, just, they would love to fucking stick it up your ass like that. They would love to. They would love to make From Software cave. And that's the only reason this has become a hot button topic at all. Because realistically, it is as simple as how I outlined right at the start. It is like this. Artist intends the game this way. Everybody has to play the same. Right? Or rather, play the same game at the same difficulty level. Everyone. It's been that way since the very first From game. It will always be that way. You have to gear up, learn, play, beat the challenge. That's how the games are intended. It's never going to change. But they're doing it just in this fervent hope that they can fuck the people who do hold this dear over because they think it's all gamers. They don't realize it's actually just a small subsection that probably are the cancer that most regular gamers would like to cut out. The people who really care about this. And in fact, I'd go so far as to say, had Sekiro been introduced with an easy mode, I don't think anyone would have batted a fucking eyelid. But I know games journalists would have wrote an article going, From Software has finally got rid of Get Good culture. In your face, gamers. Ha ha ha. Score one for the games journalists. Are you listening to me? So, it doesn't end there. Never ends. Let me show you this. There was another piece. Vice. Waypoint. Please hurry up and go under so we can all have a good laugh at Patrick Klepek. Come on. You can do it. Give me my waypoint. Maybe that's what XSplit is doing to me. It just rejects all the shit publications. Well, anyway, they wrote an article. Again, we've always made our own easy modes. Sekiro is no exception. Trying to make out that easy mode, you know, trying to make games easy for yourself is the same thing. No. What was this one? Oh, I did enjoy this because there was, there was a lot of backlash because, as you can see, the whole way that it was framed as if, oh, we're doing this simply for the disabled people, you know. You can see here, look. This was a disabled gamer tweeted out, I'm totally disabled as of now. This is sick. You should be ashamed. I suffer from debilitating chronic pain, even in my fingers, among other things. I don't get offended easily, but this is disgusting just to push an agenda. Stop exploiting disabled people. You done it now, Kotaku, you see? You done it now. You're well-intentioned. This is outrage. You're the bad guys now. You didn't. But the point is as well, the idea that if you're differently abled to someone else, you can't complete the game. Obviously not true. We've got many great gamers right here on Twitch that overcome all these physical ailments to basically beat games and do incredible playthroughs that have the extra element of going, Jesus Christ, like what an achievement this is. And you can see here, this guy played through it, beat Corrupted Monk, did it on stream. So, again, it's just different. Just different people can overcome the challenge and others can't. And that's kind of the point. I will add, just because I said it earlier, shout out to Eric Kane. Me and him, we had our differences because, like I say, it wasn't his fault that we actually had our differences, really. I'm big enough to admit that. It was after John died. I lashed out because he was at a publication that published an awful hit piece on Total Biscuit, and he did write an article. No, on the same publication that started the whole thing, he wrote an article that said, "No, Sekiro Shadow Die Twice does absolutely not need an easy mode." And you can see here, my colleague Dave Tier is at it again. Like, imagine that. Imagine being so exasperated by your own co-worker. I have to write responses to my own co-workers. My colleague Dave Tier is at it again, calling for From Software to add an easy mode to the studio's latest game, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. The irony is, of course, that the game is, by default, set to easy mode. You can activate hard mode partway through the game. That's actually true. I completely forgot that point. Thank you, Eric. Yes, there is a way you can up the difficulty for the game once you hit a certain point in the game. So, that might make the default mode, I don't know, easy mode. Who knows? That is a choice. Choice lies at the crux of Tier's argument. He argues in easy mode would not change experience for the many players who wish to play it in its pure form. The challenge would remain intact. Giving players choice would be a sign of respect. I fundamentally disagree. For one thing, the option to turn down difficulty when stuck in a particularly hard boss or mini-boss would always be a temptation. Indeed, I can tell you about, how I acquiesced to that temptation. I feel a little bit sad now that there's none of The Witcher 3 left, and there'll never be any Witcher 3. I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have pressed that button. I wish the developer had protected me from myself. It would be so simple to take the easy route, and then we would never learn what From Software and game director Hidetaka Miyazaki hopes we will learn: how to overcome the odds, and in doing so, gift ourselves with a sense of pride and achievement. Yes, Eric. Yes. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And not all games give you that. But the games that intend to give you that give you a fucking gift. It is a gift, isn't it? Who hasn't triumphantly, literally, like out of some fucking cheesy 80s movie, punched the air in triumph when you have got past a particular difficult part in a game? Who hasn't done that? Who hasn't felt that fucking elation? And it's fucking great. And you don't get that at work. And you don't get that, just out there. You don't get that with your friends and the family. You did it. You did it. You put your mind to something and you beat it. You versus the machine. And you overcome it. And that's fucking great. Fuck yeah. And he goes on to elaborate on that point. What Souls games are intended to do. It's a really good article. I know clicking on Forbes might be controversial for some of you, but you should definitely go check it out. And, Eric Kane's one of the good guys. Never let it be said otherwise.